know it's a bit far. Remember times of when Mexico, Costa Booster. You heard us. Tell me about it. What you gonna do? Oh, I know that I know what. Ooh, it's my life. This is Love 101 FM. It seems we'll just have to join our hosts, in a cold way this evening. We're not seeming able to lay our hands on our theme, our usual theme. So I'm going to say good afternoon to the host of Family Time. Good afternoon to our Family Time
Good,
host.
good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to have you. And we're handing things over to you now.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Good evening and welcome. You are tuned to Love 101 and it is family time. Now, family time is about your issues and your relationships. Whether it is your family abroad or abroad, your global family, family time is the place to be. Now, family time is produced by the Family Life Ministries, and of course, our aim is to enable healthy families, which leads to a healthy nation. So, please stay tuned with us. Connect with us on all our social media platforms. We are on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And of course, keep up with what's happening on Instagram by visiting FLMJA. Now, family time is for you. And so I want you to know you've got to call a neighbor, call a friend, a cousin, someone, let them know that family time is on. Now, I am your host for today, Tamika Scott Walters, and we will be having an interesting discussion. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Hmm, that's what the popular saying goes. But is that true for you? What's the advantage to having lost love? And what's the point in trying again? There's also another saying that is once bitten, hmm, twice shy. So, do we ever stop looking for love? I wonder. How many times do we need to be bitten to decide? And I'm wondering who has the answers to these questions. So, let's find out. Today's topic is finding love again. Seems right because Valentine's Day is just around the corner. So today's topic we will be discussing finding love again. And guess what? We always want to hear from you. So today's feedback question is: was it easier or harder for you to love again? Was it easier or harder for you to love again? Please to send your answers via WhatsApp, text, and also share your voice notes. You can send them to 876 997 3125. Remember to keep them 30 seconds or less. And you can also call our studio lines at 876 968 8327 or 876 968 8328. Also follow on our platforms, comment, and we will have our very special guest when we return from this break. Let's talk soon. Call a friend.
Tuesday, February 4 is World Cancer Day, United by Unique, raising awareness of people centered care on World Cancer Day. The Jamaica Cancer Society is reminding you of the importance to check yourself. Early detection saves lives. And you're invited to come on down to the Cancer Society on Lady Musgrave Road and register to do your test. Come out early. You might be in the number for the free tests available. Love 101 will be on location from 8:30 a.m. as we share important interviews and discussions on how to take care of our bodies. World Cancer Day, Tuesday, February 4, and we'll be live on location at the Jamaica Cancer Society, 8:30 a.m. Brought to you by the Jamaica Cancer Society with support from CariMed and NHS. Catch us live on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And a very special welcome to our guest today, Sonia Winter. Now, Sonia is no stranger to Family Time. And Lady Sonia, she is an associate clinical psychologist and Tea House Therapy founder. Welcome, Lady Sonia. How you do?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Tamika. Greetings to you.
Right. Greetings to you also. I am really looking forward to today's discussion. I don't know if you're seeing the signs around and feeling love in the air. So I want all our listeners to remember our question today. Our question to you is, was it easier or harder to love again? We want you to send those answers to us via WhatsApp, text, or voice note. You can send to 876-997-3125. Remember, keep your voice notes 30 seconds or less. Or you can also give us a call on our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8228. And also watch and comment on our social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Finding love again. So, Sonia, it is February. They say it is the month of love. So, let's get right into it. What exactly does it mean when someone says, finding love again?
Okay. Well, the mere fact that the word again is in the sentence suggests to me that you once had love, but something dramatic has changed. You don't have it, and you're looking for to find it again, So it may be the second or third time that you're now trying to find love. And what can sometimes happen in the loss of the first love is that a lot of pain and emotions can come up as a result of the end of that relationship. And then how we interact with those emotions can impair or help the way we move forward in other relationships. So finding love again is can be sometimes challenging to navigate depending on how we're dealing with the emotions that come from the end of the last relationship. So it can be a little bit more complicated than when you're falling in love for the first time, where you don't have emotions from a past hurt to deal with. you know so the second time around can be somewhat more layered because you're dealing with a lot of you can be, not everybody goes through it, but you can be dealing with a lot of mixed emotions, and how you handle those emotions can either be helpful to you creating a meaningful relationship or a meaningful life, um, or not, can impair your ability to do that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm wondering, Sanya, does it make a difference how the love was lost? I know sometimes there are relationships that are separated through death, but sometimes there are just relationships that are separated because they're broken, there are irreconcilable differences. There can be a number of reasons. Does that make a difference?
It does make a difference because of the emotions that can come out of it, you know. um, so it's really the emotional realities that come from how the relationship ends. So let's say you lose your partner to death. You know, there'll be, if you are, if you handle it in the most healthy way, then you will go through a series of emotions that we call grieving, um, as you try to come to terms and adjust your life to life without this person in the physical um, space way, you know. Um, However, if you, and similarly too, sometimes, oftentimes when we end a relationship, when we choose to end a relationship and go our separate ways, we also are required to grieve that relationship as well, you know, either grieve the loss of the relationship, the loss of the good things about it, if there was a sense of connection or understanding or companionship, you know, we'll grieve the good things that are lost, and maybe even grieve the dream that was lost, you know, the hope that we had for the relationship that is now lost. We will grieve that as well. But combined with that, we may also have hostile feelings of anger or betrayal or rejection, which guess what, can come not only sometimes when relationships end tumultuously, but sometimes that can also, we can also be grappling with those emotions when our partner dies, you know, just, you know, our partner could die and we still also have those feelings because of maybe events that happened while our partner was alive, you know. So what I would say, Tamika, the most important thing to come to terms with is what are the types of emotions that I am feeling because of how the relationship was when it was, when we were together, and how the relationship has ended. Those two things will create a series of emotions, and it's very important to be able to understand, process, make sense of those emotions, because within them are important life lessons, you know, are important stories that, you know, are about our needs, our expectations, our, where we need to grow, you know, what our triggers are. So there's a lot to be gained from confronting those emotions, whatever they might be.
So we have to face them head on, Sonia, so that we know what should be our ultimate next step. And I mean, I will definitely have to ask the question then. Once I process all of this, then I would be thinking, should I be looking for love or waiting to find it? Listeners, remember we want to hear from you. Was it easier or harder to love again? And I want you to send your texts, your voice notes. Remember, keep them 30 seconds or less. And you can send to 876-997-3125. You can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 968-8328. Watch and comment and follow on our social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Call a friend, tell a friend, family time is on. So stick around for more insights and advice from our special guest today, Sonia Winter. Soon come.
Don't miss the next Campus Connection as we focus on prayer in praying times. We are inviting all youth and youth serving organizations to stand with us as we intercede and pray for the salvation and transformation of our nation's youth and more. We will have Mrs. Esther Wong from the Global Prayer and Intercessory Ministry, Mr. Joel Stewart, President of the MICO UCCF, Miss Topaz Barrett, from the Mount Alvernia High School ISCF and Mrs. Tricia Nelson Watson, SCSFU Western Region Field Officer, on Tuesday, February 4 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station Love 101. Campus Connection is brought to you by Heart NSTA Trust. Skill is power. That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, February 4 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station. Love 101.
The February 5 off 50 sales event at Home and Things is here. Take $5 off every $50 you spend. Save big on the brands you know and trust, from beautiful Spanish and Brazilian tiles to exquisite bathroom fixtures and faucets from Corona, Moen, and other top brands. Check out stylish doors, windows, paints, and home decor that inspire beauty and elegance. It's the February 5 off 50 sales event happening now. Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road.
Will that be cash or card?
Card.
You have a supermarket card from Flow too?
Yes. It's just like Flow paying for my groceries.
Sign up for Yard and Road for only $6,300 plus GCT, and you too can get a $10,000 supermarket card. Get Yard and Road, the plan that pays you back. Conditions apply.
Ready to experience 6 times more freshness in your clothes? Try Downy Scent Beads. Its fragrance is so amazing, you have to sniff it to believe it. Try Downy Scent Beads today. 6 times more freshness versus using detergent alone.
Welcome back. We are talking about finding love again. This is Family Time on Love 101 FM. We wanted you to answer today's question. Was it easier or harder to love again? Our guest today is Sonia Winter. And it says, there's a quick thing that goes 99.9% of us have lost in some way. And we have loved also. We've loved and lost, whether it is through death, separation, a broken relationship, a number of ways. It's normal to grieve. And Sonia just discussed, if you were listening earlier, the different processes of grieving after a breakup or a tragic loss. But how many of us find or even look for love again? Or do we even want to? Sonia, just before the break, my question to you, after we've done the grieving, after we've processed our emotions, how do we come to the decision for those questions? Do I look for love again? Or do I simply wait for love to find me? Or do I maybe decide, let's call it quits?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think that's a very personal decision, Tamika. There's some people who decide that they do want to actively look for love. They do want to share their life with someone, and that's a very personal decision. There are others who decide that they want to find fulfillment in other ways, through their own self-actualization and, pursuing other relationships, mentorship relationships, being more of a matriarch to a family or something like that. And that gives them sufficient meaning that they don't feel like they need to actively pursue partnership again. I think what's most important, though, if a person does decide to pursue a long-term intimate relationship again, what's very important, I believe, is to ensure that they are pursuing a relationship because it's about mutual attraction and connection and a sense of shared values, perhaps, that those are the things that are motivating the relationship. Because Tamika, very often after a relationship has ended, sometimes the pain of the ended relationship can be so profound that people run into or pursue another relationship so as to assuage the pain that they're feeling. And that's often what we call love on the rebound, where you're simply getting into a relationship so as not to feel the loneliness, the sense of rejection,
Goodness.
or yeah. So the relationship is about a balm for difficult emotions that you're feeling from the last one, and that's usually a bad idea. So
Thinking it will help to get over the previous one. Thinking it may help me to get over the previous love without taking the time to process the emotion, taking the time to heal, taking the time to decide what's my next step.
absolutely. And gain clarity, gain clarity about, what kind of partner you want. Also gain clarity about how you might have contributed to the end of the relationship. And so what growth do you need to do as well. All of that I think would be a part of processing the past relationship, helping you to understand your own values and expectations and your growth needs as well for a relationship.
Yeah, so I get, Sonia, that it is important, regardless of the reason why the relationship ended or regardless of how love was lost, it is important for us to take time to go through the process, to recalibrate, to assess, to look at our value, our worth, our expectations, and just to be clear on what it is we need, what it is we in turn offer. So I know that's important. Are there pros and cons associated though with me making a decision? I know sometimes for things we say, oh, someone may be fearful, so this is just a natural response to fear. And I know there are some biological structures that are perhaps present in all human. When it comes to love, I know the heart wants what the heart wants. Everyone differs. Is there any standards that we can say, okay, these are the pros, these are the cons, this is ideal, perhaps this should not be so?
Okay, so there are many pros to a relationship. Um, we're social animals. Okay, so we do get a lot of satisfaction. We often get a sense of well-being from companionship and connection. That means a lot to us as human beings. And so one of the great pros of a relationship is just that, the sense of connection, support, mutuality, the sense of a shared experience, shared experiences, shared goals, objectives. They also is a wonderful experience to have, and a relationship can give you that. Also, another pro of a relationship is that it has been demonstrated that human beings can really they such a relationship, because it's so important, can often pull you out of your comfort zone. And it is your commitment to this person that allows you to step into your lack of step out of your comfort zone, and that's how you can grow as a person. So in a relationship you have a huge opportunity for personal growth. Let me give you an example. So if I was a person who was very let's say impatient, or it was very hard for me to learn empathy, to understand how another person feels, then that's something that being in a relationship would be tested, and to the extent that I'm committed to this person and I'm willing to deal with the uncomfortable feelings that come when I'm not able to empathize, then my commitment is what will help me to be willing to learn empathy. because that's when we grow the most, when we step out of our comfort zone and we don't do much growing inside it. So the
Openness
point,
and openness to observe and openness to see someone else's perspective other than our own.
for sure, and accommodate it, accommodate their perspective too, is very useful. There are other pros. I mean, just sharing a life, sharing, having an objective, but having two people working on the same objective, that's a really wonderful experience as well, to the extent you can get that support. So there are lots of having a family as an endeavor, you know what I mean, is can be a really fulfilling experience as well. So there are many pros to deciding to find a meaningful love again, if you have been hurt.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sonia. It's crystal clear to me now. I do see the pros. But what may not be so crystal clear is the question that is asked by Roxanne on YouTube. So our guest, Roxanne, thank you for your question. Roxanne says, can a rebound relationship help us to process the previous relationship though? So, Sonia, are there any pros in that kind of relationship, a rebound relationship? Roxanne wants to know.
Ooh, that's a tough one, Roxanne. I think a rebound relationship, you're right, it can go in many different directions, right? But it does require a great deal of self-awareness. If you're in a rebound relationship, so in a rebound relationship, what's happening is that a lot of emotions are getting triggered in the relationship and from the past relationship, and we're using this relationship to feel better. That's one thing, right? The second thing is that this relationship can very easily trigger memories of the past relationship, and we end up reacting to those memory emotions with the current partner when what's happening has nothing to do with the current partner. So we can end up sort of punishing the current partner for the pain inflicted by the past one. And of course, and then that can go awry, if there's no self-awareness of what's happening, so I might be very well reacting to my current partner, accusing my partner of X, Y, and Z, of triggering me because of his behavior, etc., when he's innocent. He's just a reminder. He's not inflicting any damage in and of itself. So he is actually bringing to the fore my vulnerabilities, put it that way. I'm vulnerable to something and he's activating them inadvertently, but he's not the villain here. Okay, it's really the past relationship that has inflicted this wound, and the wound is still raw. Now, to answer Roxanne's question, if everybody is aware of what's happening, right, then you can have some really meaningful bonding conversations with your partner where you can explain, this is what's happening to me. I just find that when you happen to mention this word, that just sends me off the deep end, and I have all this rush of emotions, and I don't mean to punish you. Can you forgive me? Can we figure out a way for us both to navigate this differently? I think with your help, I can confront and handle these emotions differently. So I guess the answer is yes, a rebound relationship can help you to process past wounds, but it certainly requires a great deal of self-awareness, to understand the dynamics of what's really happening here. And unfortunately, Tamika, the truth is that doesn't happen often. When we're in the throes of a particular emotion and it's our partner who is standing in front of us, it's our partner who will often get the blame for what we're feeling. It's hard sometimes to see the forest for the trees, to be able to separate out, okay, this is not really about him. It's about my past. It's hard to do that. But if you can, then there's growth to be gained.
It's possible, but it's unlikely. So everyone may have a different experience. So Caution should be exercised. It's possible, but it's unlikely. I know Roxanne is happy for that response. I know I am. I want all our listeners, remember you are tuned to Family Time on Love 101. Family Time is produced by the Family Life Ministries. For our social media interaction, we want you to share with us, was it easier or harder to love again? Let us know, share your WhatsApp voice notes and texts, and you can send them to 876-997-3125. Remember to keep your voice notes 30 seconds or less. And you can also watch and comment live on our social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. Now, we want to hear from you. This evening's topic, if you're just tuning in, has to do with finding love again. Now, it's break time, but just before we go, we want you to listen to the word from Rev Mike in this episode of WTF, Word to Flesh Moments. Don't go away. We'll be back.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. This is quoted by many people who experience heartbreak in love. However, for the sake of our intellectual integrity, we should be mindful that this was an ode of grief for Arthur Henry Hallam, friend of the author Alfred Lord Tennyson, in his poem In Memoriam A.H.H. But for the sake of this season of love, let's apply it to romantic love as is commonly done. Is it true? For those of us who have experienced heartbreak because someone didn't love us like we loved them, this is a statement that seems mad. But there are others of us, although our love situation didn't work out, perhaps because of a painful decision or an untimely death, we find much truth in the statement. For to experience real love, even briefly, is a blessing from God Himself. And though the pain of losing love may be unbearable, the joy of experiencing real love is unfathomable. In addition, Romans 8:28 says, "We know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." This statement is true, for once we are called according to the purpose and plans of God, He causes even our painful situations to work for our good in some way. Therefore, we can truly say with Lord Tennyson, "I hold it true, whate'er befall, I feel it when I sorrow most. 'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
The time by grace to move is...
It is 6:04 p.m. and you are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time brought to you by
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
There's a need for a place like this. 8 crucial portfolios under one roof. For your convenience with expedience, your experience is the real difference. Where policy impacts change. Here at McJC, feel the difference.
See the difference of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
See the difference.
The McJC.
You can feel it. McJC.
Welcome back to Family Time. Family Time is brought to you by the Family Life Ministries. Now, Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our show this evening is about three little words: finding love again. And our special guest is Sonia Winter, Associate Clinical Psychologist and Tea House Therapy founder. Finding love again after a significant relationship can offer many pros. And if you were listening earlier, Sonia shared them with us. But are there any cons, and how much of a deterrent can they be? Sonia, what are some of the cons with finding love again, and perhaps some of the deterrents after losing love?
Mhm. Well, some of the cons of in finding love again can come when you haven't properly grieved or handled the past relationship, you know. Um, so sometimes the cons would include that you're healing, you've gone into another relationship, but there's the emotions from the last one are still raw. Let's call it raw, and so you end up kind of delaying your healing. So the emotional wounds haven't quite been resolved, so they're easily activated or irritated. You know, um, so you can kind of end up delaying. Healthy coping with the end of the last relationship, you know, as a result. So also sometimes you can place unreasonable expectations on the current relationship, you know, kind of expecting the relationship to fix the pain of the past. And that's not necessarily something that somebody else can do for you. And to put that burden on somebody else can uh, put an unnecessary strain on the relationship, you know, and rob you of the kind of connection that you might be looking for. Um, you may also be, I would say, hypersensitive to conflict and unable to move through conflict, which is sure to arise in any healthy relationship. You know, differences of opinion or needs or expectations will arise in a new relationship. And without having handled the past relationship well, you may find dealing with that conflict very, very difficult. And your default mechanisms for handling those conflicts in a brand new relationship may be kind of destructive to that relationship, you know. Sometimes also you can
Yeah.
find yourself constantly comparing, you know, comparing your new partner, overly comparing your new partner to the last one, or because the last one ended so badly, you have this kind of idealized vision of the next person, and you're comparing your new partner to this idealized entity that, you know, may not be realistic. Um, that can also be harmful to your new relationship as well, you know. So I think how you handle the last relationship, the end of the last relationship, as I said, and how you handle the emotions that come with it can be detriment, can provide a lot of cons when you when you're entering into a new relationship, and that can kind of rob
Yeah.
you of the growth that you wanted, that you could have gotten from the past
The
relationship.
expectations too that you have for the new,
Could you say that again, please, Tamika?
and the expectations too that you have for the new one.
For sure, for sure. May, as a result, be somewhat unreasonable and create difficulty for you to really enjoy this relationship and grow, and allow this relationship to grow and allow you to grow as an individual as well.
Thanks, Sonia. So I understand, you know, while there are no guarantees for the outcome or the pursuit of love, the cons are really greater when we fail to process before, you know, if we they say fools rush in, and so we have to make sure that we are cautious about that. So I know the cons are greater there. So my next question, Sonia, then, I know outside of the natural human fear, I ride a bicycle when I'm small, I fall off. It may take me some time to get back on. When it comes to love, and I've thought about it, I've processed my emotions, I've looked at the past, I've looked at my value, I've done that. Are there any signals? Are there any checkpoints that we can use to say, okay, this is how I know that I am ready again? Because, I'm naturally a little hesitant and fearful. Is there a checklist that we can go over to use to say, okay, this gives me the green light to go again?
Okay. Yeah, I think I would say when the feelings about your last one don't hijack you. So let's say you had resentment or anger or deep sadness about the last relationship, to the extent that you're no longer holding on to those feelings such that they kind of hijack you, hijack your behavior, hijack your responses to things, then you're on your way to being ready. So once you're no longer holding on to the resentment or the deep hurts such that they're hijacking you or hijacking your behavior, that's one thing. When you notice also that thoughts about your ex doesn't again trigger certain emotions that again cause you so much distress that your behavior is hijacked again. um, Once you've spent time also to understand what went wrong, and you've kind of learned from your past experiences, learned what was your contribution, you have a formulation in your head and understanding of what went wrong and how you could have handled it differently, that kind of can tell you that you're ready. If, however, let me give you the contrast to that. If you find yourself constantly triggered by memories, you're always checking up on the person, checking their social media, hoping that you're going to see them again, thinking to yourself, wait till I see that person, I have so many things to tell them, I wish I should have said this, I should have, would have, could have, etc. And you kind of, you're on this hamster wheel of just processing the past over and over and over again. That might be a clue that you need a little bit more time before moving on. A huge road signpost too that you might be ready is when you find that you enjoy your own company. You don't feel desperate to be with somebody just to avoid loneliness. Okay, so that your decision about a new partner is separate and apart from needing to feel completed or whatever those cliches are. You're self-sufficient, you can thrive, you can find your own happiness, but you're choosing someone else because of there's an attraction of that person for their own sake, and there's a sense of budding, blooming connection with that person. I think Go ahead,
Sorry,
Tamika.
sorry. I was saying, I think that you have made it crystal clear. You have given us the pros, you've given us the cons, you have given us a checklist to go over to determine if we may be ready or perhaps not as ready as we think we are. So, our listeners, you just heard it from our clinical psychologist, Sonia. Now, I want you to perhaps do your checks as we are headed into the final break, as to whether or not you may be ready to move on and love again. Remember, this is Family Time. We are live on Love 101 FM. We are on YouTube and Facebook. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries. For our feedback question today is, was it easier or harder for you to love again? Remember to share your answers with us via WhatsApp, by text, or voice notes, and you can send to 876-997-3125. You can also give us a call on our lines in studio at 876-968-8327 or 28. And of course, you can comment on our social media platform. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram because we want to hear from you. We are headed into the break just now, and so we will be back soon.
Imagine getting home after a long day and it smells so amazing that it makes you smile. Try Febreze Buds, an air freshener that delivers continuous scent for up to 50 days when you plug it in low mode. Indulge in wonderful scents for weeks with Febreze.
Simplified customer due diligence is part of each financial institution's Know Your Customer process. As part of Simplified CDD, the information required includes a valid ID, tax registration number, and source of funds.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Welcome back to Family Time. And guess what? There is a some special info I want you to know. There are two books from Family Life Ministries, and you will want them on your shelves today. The first one is Answers to Questions Parents Ask. Now, if you're not a parent, I'm sure you know one. And the second one is Questions on Love, Sex, and Marriage. So if you're looking for a continuation of today's discussion and answers, be sure to look at those. Now, you can purchase any of these two valuable reads from Brian's bookstore or the Jamaica Baptist Union bookstore or Source of Light bookstore. And there is also a third book that is for our special persons who may be engaged just before you go to the altar. And that is Before They Say I Do. Now, the questionnaire and manual, it is specifically for counselors, psychologists, pastors, and marriage officers. And all three books, including the third edition of Before They Say I Do, are available through Family Life Ministries also. So be sure to give FLM a call at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101 if you are interested. Now, you heard the questions, you heard what's available, and we are going to get right back into our discussion on finding love again. Sonia, just before the break, you really, you paved the way. And I'm thinking perhaps some of our listeners now have their checklist and they're creating it. They're doing the comparison to see where on the scale they may fall. And so I want to know, are there any additional resources and support that persons who may have lost love can utilize to ensure that it charts them back where they want to be?
Mhm. Well, it's funny. What I would say to that, Tamika, is that you just shared two important resources. You know, those two books from Family Life Ministries written by Dr. Davidson are great resources to help you navigate a new relationship. Many of the principles outlined in those two books can help you and can guide you when you are thinking of another relationship as well. Then, of course, there is professional counselors, psychologists at Family Life Ministries that you can go to, who can help you, ask yourself the important questions, help you to do some introspection, help you with self-awareness, and help you to navigate the way forward, help you with the personal growth that you can get from a failed relationship. So those are two wonderful places that I would direct you first and foremost. if you need support to navigate the way forward. I think what I would say also, though, that having lost love, sometimes people might think to themselves, you know, they need a good story, a good explanation as to why not, why should I not give up on loving again? You know, this relationship has been so painful. So, they need a good reason why they shouldn't just give up on love altogether, and I guess what I would do is just validate those feelings. It's understandable to feel like giving up on love, especially after heartbreak. I was saying, Tamika, it's understandable, even with all these resources available to you. Sometimes there are many people who would say, I'm still giving up on love. It was just too painful. It wasn't worth my while. I don't want to ever go through that again. And what I would say is I would validate those feelings. I would say it's understandable that you would feel like giving up on love, especially after heartbreak and disappointment and feeling just emotionally spent, so even though choosing to remain single is a valid choice, giving up on love entirely due because of pain or fear or past experiences might mean that you're shutting yourself off to something that the possibility of something that could be very fulfilling. So I would say, even, and the other thing too is that even when you're not looking for it, sometimes even when you're not seeking it, it just creeps up on you and smacks you in the head. And, we don't always have control over how we feel. Somebody comes across our radar and lo and behold, boom, we're right back where we started. But also I think I would say to remember that love comes in many forms. It's not just about romance. That a lot of love and connection can be found in friendships, in family, in self-love, and in finding passions, that
Personal passions and pursuits.
Exactly. But at the same time, even though romantic love may not have worked out for you before, a huge, deep human connection is still possible and is still a very valuable thing, and it can
It is
promise.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I was saying, Sonia, human connection is important. And even though we're not dismissing self-love and making a decision to remain single, but it has to be done where I believe we're not living a life of fear, um, fear of repetitions, but we are at the place that we really want to be, being true to ourselves. um, I think that's a really beautiful thing. There's one more question I got, Sonia, and I mean, I'm looking at the question now, and before I share it, I'm thinking I have known of friends, my friends' parents who have been divorced and were remarried. And so we have a question here from a listener that says, how about loving again with an ex? So you're looking to love again. However, it is perhaps not new. Perhaps the person is the same, a relationship that would have ended prior for whatever reason. Um, is there anything that we should be cautious about? Um,
Absolutely, Tamika.
Tell me about them. I'm making all the notes for us.
For sure. The thing about being reconnected with an ex, right, with whom you have a past, is that too often what I've seen is that people resume a relationship too much because what they remember is the good times and the connectedness. And it's almost like that the wonderful times that we have is an intriguing lure back into a relationship, but they have not addressed the things that rip them apart. Okay, so the thing to be very, very clear about is, where did our relationship go wrong? what was my contribution to it? What was your contribution to it? And how do we now effect behavioral change? Because understanding it is one thing, you know, understanding the genesis of why we did what we did, why we felt the way we felt, and why we ended up damaging this connection that we had is very important. But being able to now respond in a different way to those same stressors is very, very important. And it's important to confront those things, because if you don't, then you know the inevitable is going to happen. You know, time will repeat itself. You'll make the same mistakes again, and you'll be hurt again, and it doesn't have to be that way at all. So you can find fulfillment, you can find satisfaction with an ex, but again, make sure that you've done the work, you've done the introspection, you held yourself accountable for your contribution, and you know you have skills. And this is where a professional can really help you. You have the skills to respond to the stressors or whatever the triggers were in a different and more constructive way.
Yeah, I love that. Once we have the skills, then it gives us the ability, we'll be equipped to identify what needs to be identified. We'll be able to assess, we'll be able to examine, do all the self introspection, see where I played my part and what was done, and perhaps not just bask in the good memories, or perhaps look at the bad without learning from the mistakes. Sonia, it has been more than a mouthful, but it has been all worth it. Very potent information in the season of love that's upcoming. And so I will ask you quickly, Sonia, we are almost at the end of the program. Give us a parting word to our listeners as it relates to finding love again. What's your closing thought?
I think I would say, if you can think of yourself in finding love again, please be sure that you're not running away from the pain of the past. You know, you're not choosing a partner simply because you want to escape the pain of the past, the sadness, the anger, the betrayal, whatever it is that you had in the past relationship. You're not running away from your choice in this new person. Is not about running away from that relationship, but your choice in this person is about running toward this person for what they offer you, for the connection you feel with this new person, for this sense of shared meaning that you have with this new person, for this sense of shared values and understanding that you have with this new person. Those should be the contributing factors to why you're choosing this to love and to commit to this new person. It should be about them and you, and not about past pain and a salve for the past pain, or even for the loneliness that you might be experiencing.
Ah, Sonia, you are the professional and you have said it best. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you,
Listeners,
Tamika.
that is Sonia. You are very welcome. Sonia Winter, Associate Clinical Psychologist. Now, listeners, if you have questions of a personal nature, or you are concerned about a family member or a friend, give FLM a call. For more information on our services, or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, please contact our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Please note that for appointments and information on cost, you must contact our offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with all that's happening with Family Life Ministries and all our programs, be sure to check us out on our new Facebook page at FLM Family Life Ministries. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA, and also on Instagram at simply FLMJA. Before we leave you today, here is our verse for this evening. Let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promise. Let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promises. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 23. Join us again next week for another informative session. And thanks again to our special guest, Sonia Winter. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale. And thanks to Derval Graham for piloting us through this hour. And of course, my favorite, you, our valued listeners. Have a fantastic week. I am Tamika Scott Walters, and love again, live again. Have a good day.
Into the Family Radio, broadcasting from Kingston, Jamaica, where the time is now 6:31. Good evening to